think everybody's a candidate for these because as a naturopathic doctor, I always tell patients if you really look at the underlying cause of what's happening with your body and examine it, whether you need dietary changes or emotional changes, you really can heal your life. And what you want to do is save those medications, which can, of course, be life-saving for when you really need them.
Well, you're going to do it. The first big group of prescriptions, many folks are on them, are antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs. Over 280 million dispensed annually, and many folks with anti-anxiety drugs don't get the relief that they actually want. So what's your natural alternative if they want to try it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, when they do stop those anti-anxieties, that anxiety comes back a lot worse. So what I always like to recommend is an herbal tea, and this is called Wu Wei, also known as Schizandra chinensis, and it's an herb that's been used in China for centuries. It's also called a 5-flavor herb because it actually has all 5 flavors, which is sweet, salty, acidic, bitter, and sour. So it's really quite amazing little berry. And the great thing about how it works is it actually helps those adrenal glands, which are little stress glands. And when those adrenal glands overstimulate, which gives you that nervous feeling, it calms you down. And so I love recommending this because it really is in my top 10 favorite botanicals because it's extremely safe, and not only does it help with anxiety, it helps with fatigue, it enhances mental performance, it boosts your immune system, really quite fabulous.
So if you're not going to buy the, was it Wu Wei tea?
Yes.
You're not going to buy the Wu Wei tea, then how do you make it yourself? You get the Schizandra berry?
You can either purchase at a local health food store the berry itself, or they do have it online where you can buy the tea bag.
And it looks like this when you actually make it?
Well, so what you want to do is that you're going to put in a cup of water, you kind of pre-make it beforehand in a pot. So in a cup of water, you're going to do a tablespoon of the berries and you bring it to a boil and you let it sit. And you let it steep for about 15 minutes and then you enjoy it.
Oh, it's good.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
I know, I like it myself. I take it.
You know, we have some lemons here, but you actually don't have to add lemon to it. It's got that taste already.
Correct. You know, because again, it has all the flavors that our tongue has, so you really don't need any other enhancements like lemon or honey. But of course, if you like that with your tea, by all means, you could add it.
Or Schizandra berry.
Yes.
The next big group of medications that lots of folks are taking are those for high blood pressure, and 144 million prescriptions filled every year for this. I don't just throw your medications away. I want you always to focus on weight loss as your first step to getting your blood pressure down, because for most people it's the best way to start off. But there's some natural alternatives if you've got blood pressure issues. So what do you recommend?
Absolutely, because as we know, hypertension is a multifactorial and weight gain is a contributing factor, but so is high stress. So I always tell patients, meditate before you medicate. And so while you're learning on how to meditate and calm yourself down, you also can try this, which is rosehip powder. Rosehip powder is really lovely because it's a natural diuretic and it'll lower your blood pressure. It's very high in antioxidants, which is especially vitamin C, which increases the nitric oxide in your body, which allow the blood vessels to relax.
How do you take it? How often do you take it?
So what you would want to do is that you have a little powder here, and you'd want to do anywhere from 3/4 to 1 teaspoon. And I like to add it to applesauce because of that vitamin C content. It'll mix nicely, and you can take it twice a day.
And next up, thyroid medications, which are often used because people have so many thyroid issues. 70 million prescriptions filled annually for this. Your hormones, a lot of times folks just need a little subtle nudge.
Absolutely.
And these can be provided by natural alternatives. So what's your top recommendation here?
So my top recommendation is Bladder-Wrack, also known as Fucus versicollis.
Oh, goodness.
It's a big name.
Bladder-Wrack's memorable.
Yes, it is. And actually it's a seaweed that's grown in the northern Pacific coast or the northern Atlantic Ocean. And so, like I said, it is a seaweed. And what it does is it has a very high iodine content, which is an essential nutrient for thyroid function. So if a patient has low thyroid or hypothyroidism, or even a goiter, which is an enlarged thyroid, iodine is great to enhance either way. So it's a great nutrient that someone can take, because what's happening that people are becoming iodine deficient, so this is a nice, easy way to boost that up.
Yeah, the typical salt we have that no longer has iodine.
No, and a lot of people are looking at more gourmet type of salts, which doesn't have iodine in it. So if you could look back at those iodine salts, which is important to get into our body, also you could try the Bladder-Wrack.
How much and how often?
So what I usually recommend is 3 caps, which is about 3 grams in the morning. So you just take that first thing in the morning, and what we always like to do is, because when you're dealing with thyroid and hormones, do get your blood values checked just to make sure everything is okay.
Perfect. And finally, there's a big class of drugs for insomnia. We've talked about this show a lot, 42 million prescriptions filled a year. Lots of misperceptions about sleep medications out there. How please we can enlighten our audience. What do you tell your patients?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing that people don't know about that is a new study that came out that sleep medications, that even if you take just 2 a month, can increase your risk of death by 3 times. So to me, that's, obviously very troublesome. And then also when people do take sleep medication, it actually disrupts the sleep architecture of your sleep, so you're not getting really great sleep quality at all. And then, and so what they do, those sleep medications, it will get you to sleep faster, but again, it's not a great sleep.
So what's the natural alternative?
So my new favorite natural alternative is glycine powder. And so glycine is a calming non-essential amino acid. And it's found actually in high-protein foods like beef and chicken and legumes. And how it works is that it changes your brain wave patterns that are associated with deep non-REM sleep. And so how glycine can help you sleep is that it'll promote that deeper, more restful sleep, that more restorative sleep that you're looking for.
How do you take it?
And so what you can it comes in a couple ways. It'll come in capsule form, or a quick, easy way. They actually have these nice little travel packs, especially for people on the go, that if you just rip off a top here, and you just add the whole packet to water, and you mix, and you could actually add it to any beverage of your choice.
I'll take a minute, but don't fall asleep.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, it doesn't have much of a taste.
No, it doesn't. So it's really using medicine, especially now, again, like the powder rather than capsules, because a lot of people take a lot of pills.
These are natural alternatives. Thank you for giving